Okay, so to finish out the walkthrough, um, what we're going to have is we're going to create a pie chart. There's a lot of different reasons why you want to create a chart. Could just be a quick reference, could be aesthetically pleasing, various different reasons. But in science, I know that Mr. Lawson will want you to do some charts and things along those lines. So we're going to do the pie chart on this one. Now, the reason why I chose the pie chart is because I only get two pieces of information with the pie chart. And these two pieces of information are not next to each other. So I can't just select. Can't do that. What we're going to have to do is you're going to have to select rent through miscellaneous. Then you're going to hold control. Use your hand to come over here to total. And you're going to, while holding control, you're going to select the total information for rent, which is N9. And we're going to drag it down and select miscellaneous, which is N16. And then we can let everything go. Now, when you do that, again, you'll notice that two pieces of information have been selected. We have our categories, which is the expenses, rent, food, tuition, books, and so forth. And we have the total for the entire year for those categories. I left total off because if I already have the information here, total is just a reflective piece of this information. So we don't need total. So do not select total. We're going to come up to our chart button that's on the toolbar, and it says Insert Chart. With the information selected, it's going to pull those categories and totals. It might try to guess what we want to do. It also might take a second for the chart to pull up. So don't click it about 20 times because then you'll have 20 charts. You only need to click it once. So it guessed on the column chart, which is not a bad chart to do. But again, we want the pie chart. So we want the suggested pie chart. And they currently gave us the regular pie chart. We are going to customize it so it works for us. So we're going to go to the chart style first. And we want it to look a little fashionable. So we are going to do a 3D pie chart. And it just takes and pops it down a little bit. Not a big deal. Just something to add a little flair to it. But it's still the same amount of information. The pie chart itself, we want each individual slice labeled. So you'll notice that these slices right here, they are labeled off to the side. I want to actually show the percentages on these slices so I don't have to hover over top of them to get that information. So on the slice label, I'm going to change that to percentage. On the pie slices itself, I am not changing anything. You could theoretically go through and change each one of these and make it a different color. So if you didn't want your rent to be blue, you could make rent to be fuchsia or pink or any of those other ones. It's not really needed at this point in time. The chart axis and title, currently it guessed as to what the total is. We're going to take and change it a little bit. We're going to put expenses, yearly expenses total, yearly expenses total. And then you can see right here where it changed it to yearly expenses total. And then finally the legend. I don't like having all these little off to the sides legend. So I want my legend on the right hand side so that it just tells me what each one of these are. I already have the percentages on them. So now I just need to know, well, what does this blue represent? And that's what this legend off to the side does. It shows you that the blue is rent, red is food, and so forth on top of each one of these. All right. Now we're done customizing it, but we're not done with the chart itself. So if you click on the chart, first off, this is how we get our more features for the chart. You'll notice the three little dots in the top right hand corner. So if you don't have the chart selected, they won't be there. You must click on the chart for this to work. We do our three little dots, and if we made a mistake and we need to edit the chart, delete the chart, you can download it. publish it, copy it, move to its own sheet, or add alternating text. Well, the only thing we need to do is we want to move it to its own sheet so it's nice and big. We do not want to copy the chart and paste it into a new sheet because then you'll have all this on the background again. We want the sheet only to be the chart. So again, we're going to move it to its own sheet. When we do that, you'll now see that all the um, little cells are gone and we just have the chart. Instead of the more option up here, we now have the more options here. All right. One last thing, we are going to change the actual sheet name. So this is the title of the sheet. So we can type in personal budget walkthrough. And the reason why I waited so long to name this is because I wanted to show you that this title of the sheet, that's what's called the workbook, and that's the name of the workbook. So if we go to sheet 1, which is down here on the bottom, here's all of our information. It still says personal budget worksheet. And if we go to the chart, we now have the chart. To change this, you can use the arrow buttons, and when you click on the arrow buttons, you'll see where it says change color and rename, or you could simply just double click on the name, and you can say monthly estimates. And then for chart 1, we're going to change chart 1 to um, expense chart. So that if we wanted to go back and put a chart in for the total of the incomes instead of the expenses, we can then title that one income chart and so forth. Now, we're also going to add a little flair to this, a little extra. We're going to rename these. Change colors. I'm going to stay with the same pattern that I've had. So I have my custom features down here. So I'm going to make this one red. And you can see it puts a little line down on here. Nothing big. And then on this one here, I'm going to change the color to this one. And I'll use the light pink color here. Just to give it some flair. It doesn't really do anything for us. It doesn't change the information or anything. But that's how we insert a chart. That's how we change the names. And so that we know which sheet page we're going to be looking at. And then again, we up here at the top, we put in our personal budget walkthrough, which is the name of the workbook. So just like any other book, we have sheets down here that go into it. We have our page sheets, and then we have the title of our workbook up here on the top. All right. Again, if you need to take and stop and rewind or do anything, feel free to. This is a lot of information at once. That's about 35 minutes of information. So make sure we finish these over the next 2 days.